Hello and welcome back to the Lit Cave. This is my January wrap-up. Now, I do want to take a second and tell you that I am going to change the way that I'm doing my wrap-up videos. So, starting next week, rather than doing a wrap-up at the end of the month where I cover everything that I read, because the wrap-up video has a tendency to be the longest video, instead, I'm going to break this up and start doing a weekly wrap-up. Now, it may seem a little bit more, I don't know, maybe a little less exciting because I'm not going through a whole list of books. But what I hope to do is sort of combine what would have been my book talks and my wrap-up videos. So I'll get to talk about the things that I read a little bit more in my wrap-ups, which will help you as the viewer if you're interested in seeing about a book. You'll have a little bit more of an idea what the book's about, a little bit more idea if you want to pick it up and read it without having to watch a 12-minute, 13-minute video. So I got that idea from Lindsay Ray. She does weekly wrap-ups. Of course, she reads like 400 things a week, which is super impressive. I'm not going to be doing quite that much, but you may see 2 or 3 things every week, and that'll be good. Okay? Now, this month, however, I did read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books, and I'm in the middle of 3, so I'll let you know kind of where I'm at with those 3 books as well, and then I'll go from there. So, I started out the month by finishing Batman Volume 5, Zero Year Dark City, by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. So Scott Snyder is the writer, Greg Capullo is the artist. And I've said it before a bunch of times, I love superhero graphic novels. And Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo are phenomenal. So talented, so inspiring, such good writers. They've made Batman a title that I want to read the most, even though I really collect Superman more. But it's just amazing writing. I highly recommend it. In Batman Volume 5, Zero Year Dark City, he is up against the Riddler, who has basically taken Gotham and plunged it back, in a way, into the Dark Ages, and Batman is forced to kind of solve this riddle to bring life and freedom back to Gotham City. So, from there, I went into The Young Elites by Marie Lu. I did make a book talk video about this book, so I'll link that down below. Then I read The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. And I may have pronounced that really badly because I am not good with the Spanish. I took 1 year in 9th grade, like in 1996. I took Spanish, so it's been a while. But Shadow of the Wind was a phenomenal book, so beautiful. I gave it 5 stars, and I was reading it to see if it was a book that would be appropriate to place in our 9th grade English curriculum. I don't necessarily think it's right for 9th grade. I could see it maybe in the high school setting, or a little bit older high school setting, but probably not for 9th grade. But I did love the book. If you're someone who loves books, this is a book for you. It's one of those books about books, in a way, and so interesting. It's a mystery that kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat, and there's all kinds of just quirky things to this story, but I really loved it. Not sure if I'll do a book talk video about it, but I would highly recommend that you pick it up, especially if you're looking for something that's a little bit more diverse reading with a Hispanic author, and that's maybe outside of your normal comfort zone. It kind of edges on the side of classics, even though it's a little bit newer. It's a good read. And then I made my best choice of the month, I think, which is I started the Lunar Chronicles series. It's been on my TBR. I've owned the books for a little bit now, not real long, but they're one of those series that are constantly talked about on BookTube. So I picked up the series and I read Cinder, Scarlet, and Cress all right in a row. Gave all of them 5 stars. So good. If you're not aware, there are sci-fi fairy tale retellings, with Cinder being focused on Cinderella, Scarlet being a little bit more focused on Red Riding Hood, and Cress being focused on Rapunzel. There is a new book that just came out in the series called Fairest, which is sort of a prequel that follows Queen Lavanna, who is the antagonist of the series, and that is kind of the wicked queen witch from Snow White. And there's another book coming out in November called Winter. These books are phenomenal, so good, and I'm not really much of a sci-fi person, and when I started out the series, I was feeling a little frustrated because what I don't tend to like about sci-fi is as it starts talking about the techiness, it often feels very sterile. There's not much life, not much love, not much hope, and that's a part of the literature, but it became so interesting and so beautiful as it went on. I'm so into the series, can't wait to finish it. Other than the Throne of Glass series, I would say this is probably my favorite series that's out right now. So, highly, highly recommend all those books. So I finished Cinder, then I finished Scarlet, then I finished Cress. Then I read Gone Girl. And Gone Girl is an interesting book because everybody talks about how well written Gone Girl is, and it is written incredibly well. However, I definitely wanted to throw the book across the room, which is also a pretty common feeling. I don't want to throw out too many spoilers, but I will say that the book was very well written. I will definitely read Gillian Flynn's other two books, starting with Dark Places, since that's going to be made into a movie this year. But I don't think I would recommend Gone Girl. I gave it 3 stars, and ultimately it was well written, but I didn't like it, if that makes sense. So I gave it 3 stars, though. Then I was also reading The Blessed Life, Unlocking the Rewards of Generous Living by Robert Morris, which is my pastor. And this is a book that my whole church was reading together here at the beginning of the year. And a really great book. I've read it before, so it was a reread for me. I gave it 5 stars when I reread it here. And I will say that I think that it's one of the best books I've ever read that has to do with giving, because it's not about giving money, it's about living a generous life where you bless other people with whatever it is that you have to bless them with, but first that you honor God with whatever it is that you have. So really, really like that. It's one of the reasons I love my church so much, because this is kind of my pastor's life message, and it's a blessing to hear. Then I read The Kill Order by James Dashner, which is the prequel to the Maze Runner series. I gave it 3 stars. I liked it quite a bit. It's definitely, I was trying to debate if it's something that you should read before you read the Maze Runner series, and I would highly recommend that you don't, because there's some spoilers at the very beginning of the book. But I will say that it was really well written. It felt more violent than the Maze Runner series, which is saying quite a bit, because the Maze Runner series is very violent. But I enjoyed it. I liked it. I don't think I was like over the moon about it, but I liked it. And that's kind of how I felt about the entire Maze Runner series. It was good. I'm glad I read it. I'm glad I own it, but it's not like one of my favorites. So I finished The Maze Runner. Now, I'm currently reading 3 books, some faster than others. I am currently reading Addicted to Busy, Recovery for the Rushed Soul by Pastor Brady Boyd from New Life Church in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And that's kind of my morning read, kind of gets me focused for the day and gets me in a good place, and I'm really enjoying it. It's a great book about kind of focusing your life and making sure that you are, putting God first and able to take care of your family and not allowing yourself to get too caught up in just the rush of everyday life. I'm on page 63 out of 208 of that book so far. I'm also reading A Tale of Two Cities, which is what my some of my GT students are reading right now in class. And I've been reading it. It's a slow read because it's hard, it's difficult, and I'm telling my students the same thing. If you're not used to reading classic books, and even more so, if you're not used to reading Dickens, Dickens is a difficult guy to read. So it's okay to take your time with him. I know, like Novels and Nonsense, Samantha over at Novels and Nonsense is a Dickens fanatic and reads him like crazy. But for someone who doesn't read Dickens all the time, Dickens is a challenge to read. So it's good to take your time, make sure that you understand what you're reading. And even I encourage my students, use outside sources to make sure that you know what you're reading is that you're understanding it correctly. But just don't only read the outside resources, read the book first, So right now I'm on page 179, and the actual story itself ends about page 390, but my version has 489 pages. And I'm taking it real slow with that book, but I'm going to continue to read it, and hopefully I'll finish as the students do. I've read this before, so this is a reread. It's just the last time I read it was 9th grade, so I'm trying to kind of give it another go here. The last book that I'm reading right now is I'm reading Beautiful Darkness, which is the 2nd book in the Castor Chronicles series. I read the 1st book a long time ago, and I had to kind of watch a video to remind me what the series was about. or not so much what the series was about, but what happened at the end of book 1, because of course the book and the movie are not quite the same. So I'm reading the second book. I'm really enjoying it. Yesterday I got to read a ton of it, and I am on page 250 out of 503 right now. So I'm about 50% done with the book, and really, really enjoying it. I've heard negative things about this series quite a bit, that the books got worse and worse, but so far I haven't felt like the second book was worse than the first book. I've liked them both. If this stays on track, it'll probably end up being about a 4-star book for me. So I'm going to continue to read that. I would anticipate that I would finish this book pretty quickly, and then I've got a short story in the other books in the series to go through as well. So that is what I read so far. Or that's what I read in the month of January. Today's the last day. I don't think I'm going to finish anything today. And so leave me comments down below and let me know what you read, or which of these books was your favorite when you read them. Until then, I've got a new video that'll probably be up sometime tomorrow or the next day, and that'll be my February TBR. And until then, see you same lit time, same lit channel.